Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Okay, sister. Hey, sister, how you doing? I see that hair popping, girl.
Hey, sister. I just had
Okay,
to go and get
sister.
this taken care of for a second.
I mean, we got all the waves is showing and everything. Okay,
I mean, the waves is always showing. Let's be very
sister.
clear about that. This is a
Okay.
different wave pattern.
It is doing this. It's giving me some action. All right. Well, if you are tuning in tonight, welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. You can catch us live on Sundays here on YouTube and Facebook. You can follow us on our Instagram channel. We like you to like, follow, share, subscribe, tell people about the conversations that we're having, and we want you also to join the conversation in the comments. So if you're watching, please let us know where you're watching from, who's watching, where you're watching from, and child, listen, sister.
Well, get on in here in the live. I mean, I know folks are busy and stuff.
If
I
people
know.
busy and they watching they football,
I
which
get it, but get on in this live because we can't really interact with y'all when it's in the, post
I mean
when
we
it's
can, but it just ain't the same. It don't hit
not
the
the
same.
same.
It
Yeah,
just don't hit the same.
right. Correct, correct, correct.
It just don't hit the same. So we want you. Actually, I'm gonna put message some people right now. Come on up in the room. Come on up in here.
I
Let me
don't
do
know.
that.
I just, we were just having this conversation. I look on the Facebook and let me start by let me change it up. First of all, hey Teal, hey Jody. Thank you all for your constant support. We really, really appreciate it. Um, but girl, I be looking at how many Facebook friends I got. And I be like, can I just get 10% to support during the actual live broadcast?
Hey, Keisha.
Hey, Keisha, maybe not 10%. Maybe 10% is too much. Can 1%?
We talked about that a little bit a few weeks back when we were talking about support and supporting people. And our topic tonight, it all falls down. And there's a lot of things that are falling down around us, and we're gonna get into that and dive into that. But a few weeks ago we talked about that with the Beyonce phenomenon, the Taylor Swift phenomenon, and you name it, whomever said artists and people supporting the various favorite artists. But so how do you support the people who are closest to you and the friends of yours? Um and trust me, I've done some more double good donations because I don't need nan than a piece of popcorn from them people. Okay, I just let you know I done did that. Got some rally ups. I'm a part of organizations that's also fundraising, and so um yeah, when your friends have businesses, do you support? Do you, if they're doing a venture like this, do you tune in? It's like there's so many small and um even non-economic ways in which you can support your friends. And I would like us to see us doing more of that. And even when you are time restricted and time constrained, sharing it with someone else, because what we do know is that there is enough bombardment of craziness.
Hmm.
There is enough bombardment right now of things that are like pressing issues of the day, that having a little respite. I kind of feel like, hey sister, our conversation is a little respite. And yes, it's our take. Yes, we're talking about some of the big issues of the day, but I think sometimes it's just a little respite from the bombardment. You know, that's my take on it.
Agreed. Like I said, shout out to our constant supporters. We really, really appreciate y'all. You're always there for us, and we're grateful for that. But yeah, I would like, just also to hear the various opinions of others because we we often assume that people in our circle have the same sort of thought processes that we have, but maybe they don't. And I would love to understand, hear from others who may not. Now, I'm not arguing with nobody. That's what we're not going to do. But would love to have some active dialogue, about some other if you feel a different way. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, let's get on into It All Falls Down, girl, because girl, I just hear
Okay.
Mr. Johnson singing.
Selena singing then. Okay, first up. Now y'all know down in Georgia. Now Trump got 91 charges. That's different. We got some federal cases. We got two different state. We in court over there in New York and whatever. But that hey Sherwoods, we got that big case in Georgia, which was kind of put together as a RICO case. And RICO, I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but it's like racketeering something, 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 right? So it's kind of like
Mhm.
putting all of these actions before to show that there's some sort of conspiracy that is afoot. And that defense team, a couple of the attorneys who one were like, nope, we want to have our trial separate from the other 19 and we wanted a speedy trial. Well, guess what? Before they got to trial, because the trial was starting on Friday, Thursday, Sidney Powell decided to plead guilty. Now if we got our mugshot, PA, let's go ahead and put up her mugshot so people can be reminded of who Miss Sidney Powell was, who was all over our news screens, perpetuating the lie about the election being stolen, and they had all this evidence and we was gonna release the Kraken. She said it was gonna release the Kraken. Go, what a Kraken at? Or have you cracked up? Like, I'm confused. So she's pled guilty to like 6 counts. And I think she pled to all misdemeanors. Obviously she pled down to lesser charges
Right.
in exchange for her testimony against other co-defendants. But Miss Sidney was out there at the Four Seasons feed and seed store with Rudy Giuliani and them.
You mean when the black dye was coming
Yes, she
down
was
his
she was
face?
right there. She was on every Fox News opinion show, news show, you name it, she was there. And we can take her face down because I don't need to look at her face no longer. Uh but now she's pled guilty. So what that says in the gist is that she is offering testimony and probably evidence. So, as attorneys, they take copious notes. They probably have some recordings, and she's going to offer those up in the prosecution of others. So, I'm wondering who's going to fall next. So, but that was on Thursday because after her, who came
Well,
next?
wait, before we jump to to Friday, just as Sonny Hostin would do on the View legal note, Trump says that Sidney Powell was never his attorney. Let me be very, and yes, the term is never.
I'm looking. Okay. She
Even
wasn't
though he says that Sidney Powell was
when he said that.
okay. Despite Trump's claim Powell was briefly an official member of Trump's legal team in
Okay.
2020, Trump stayed in contact with her. Sidney Powell was one of millions and millions of people who thought, and in ever increasing numbers still think correctly, that the 2020 presidential election was rigged and stolen, and our country is being absolutely destroyed because of it. Miss Powell was not my attorney and never was. In fact, she would have been conflicted, Trump wrote on Truth Social. I believe that was as of, I don't know what date, but it was being said that it conflicts Trump it conflicts with a post that he had also made in 2020 where he had stated that he added power to his truly great team of lawyers working on the election. So I don't know. He added her in 2020, but he has removed her as of 20 October 2023. So she was never a part of the team, guys.
She never a
That's what
part of the current defense team, but she was a part of the team,
that man
the
said she was
election team.
never one of his attorneys.
Oh,
Now you can
okay.
just, and I said the word was never.
Hmm.
That's what the man said. I'm just here
I'm
to
trying to
provide the
remember, was
information.
she out there at the ellipse too? Because we know Rudy Giuliani was out there on January 6th. I need to find out her comings and going on January 6th. We're gonna find it.
Oh, you gonna find out her comings and goings.
We're gonna find out her comings and going. Yeah, because anyway, but so that was on Thursday. She went ahead, she pled guilty on Thursday ahead of her trial because her trial was about to begin. And then another defendant, Kenneth Chesborough, his jury had been seated. And then on Friday, he was like, well, hold up, play, wait a minute, hold up. I'm gonna go ahead and plead guilty to one of these counts too, in exchange for my potential testimony. But I'm gonna go ahead and take this felony plea. Uh, that yes, I pulled these fake people together, a fake group of electors.
See, you gonna make me keep correcting stuff again.
What he
That
said.
man, through his attorney, said that they deny that he was the architect of the fake electors.
Well, we didn't say he
Yeah.
was the architect because actually, I think the architect of it is that what's that? Not Jackson's not his name. What's the other attorney?
Child, I don't know.
Uh,
I don't even know how y'all keep up.
I can't keep up because it's foolishness. Um, let me find it.
I just want to
Yeah,
be very clear.
he not the arch. He if he not the architect, he was one of the contract workers or one of the general contractors and helping build it. How about that?
According
So
to
we
his
will say that
attorney,
you're not the architect, but you did help build it with
according to
some
his
others.
attorney, Scott Grubman, he gets to go home to his family now and not spend one day in jail. He was facing very, very serious charges. Despite that, Grubman said Chesbrough had been, quote, inaccurately described as the, quote, architect of the so-called fake elector fake elector plan. If that was true, would the DA have offered him probation? Grubman asked.
The architect, I think, is the man named John Eastman. Now we ain't got to him yet. He ain't played nothing yet. John Eastman and Rudy Giuliani, they the architects. But just like when you build something, architects put the plan together, right?
Yeah, he might
And
have
what
been
what do- what do
a
engineers do?
subcontractor. I don't know.
Huh?
I said he
Because
could
the
have been a
architect put the
contractor or a
plan together.
subcontractor.
And
He
then
may not have
somebody
been.
has to build it, right? I mean, because you bring in engineers, you bring in carpenters, you bring in all kind of things, right? Because it's like 19 people that's in these charges.
I
You
mean,
played a role. I don't know how you want to find your role, bro, but you did something. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had nothing to plead guilty to. How about that?
well, at the end of the day, here's where I am a little frustrated. I think he doesn't spend a day in jail. She doesn't spend a day in jail. I think each are paying. I think Sidney Powell has to pay about $6,000 and offer a public apology to the state of Georgia. He's paying $5,000. I mean, that's less chump change for these people. And he lives Chesborough, according to what I read, he lives in Puerto Rico. Yes, Puerto Rico obviously is a part of the United States of America, so he may or may not, I don't know, I haven't read anything that states that he is or will lose his law license or ability to practice. So, I mean, if he still has the ability to practice, what really was the consequence of literally trying to steal an election? What is the consequence of literally trying to upend the democratic process and strip people, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, non-affiliated, what have you, if you voted and you did not vote for Donald Trump in this election, because every Republican didn't vote for Donald Trump.
That's correct.
If you voted in an election and you have somebody trying to put fake electors in place, then they're really trying to strip you of your right to vote. And I just feel like this is all a slap on the wrist for something that seems to be much more serious than some of the crimes that we are seeing and people get a lot more time for.
Well, it's going to be interesting as you kind of continue to tick down the list because, as you said, they are people of a certain amount of means. They probably had that $5,000 or $6,000 readily available. Unlike a Giuliani who is getting, trying to still get Trump to fundraise for him to pay for his fees. I don't know what their legal fees are going to be. So they could be financially strapped. We don't really know what their financial situation is, but that $5,000 to $6,000, it seems small and
Mhm.
insignificant compared to the level of deep impact it had on the lives of regular everyday citizens and who just were working the polls, for the harassment that they face, from um the death threats that people face,
Right.
from the all of the other things that people's lives really being upended.
I mean,
Um,
didn't those ladies even have to go to Washington D.C. to testify?
they did go to Washington, D.C. to testify. They did file their defamation case against Rudy Giuliani. They did win that case. So I think that's currently in an appeal situation right now. But it's just so many people whose lives have been negatively impacted, who are still being negatively impacted,
Hmm.
while millions, so now they're pleading guilty, but millions have already bought the lie. And so, in terms of it all falling down, the destruction to the democratic process, the destruction to faith in our systems or our institutions is severely eroded.
Right.
And so the damage, the severe damage that we continue to have to live with is done. For what?
For what? Great question. For
Yeah.
what? And I don't at this point I don't know for what. I don't know why we think that it is okay to continue to continue to allow this kind of behavior in our process. So, well, you know what? We have a lot to get to. So, it's a
Okay.
lot of stuff that I don't
So what
understand
I
why we're
do expect to
continuing.
see is so be on the lookout. And if you want some levity when you're watching about the Donald Trump coverage, just follow Plies on Instagram and you have some good laughs about it.
But you know
So
the number of people who are upset with Plies, which I just always wonder why. If you don't agree with the person, why do you continue to follow them? Just stop following that person or what have you.
mhm.
But maybe that's not the right way. Maybe they want to continue to engage, and maybe they think he'll come around or change to his mind. But you know the number of people who act like Plies is wrong or something.
Mhm.
I'm tripping off of that. It's like it is some levity, but at the end of the day, it's like no, we should all be outraged, especially if you lived in the state of Georgia and you took your time to go and vote that day or that week or whenever it was available, mailing your ballot, whatever it was. If you took your time to go and vote and you see this lady going back to Sydney, sat up here and blamed this dictator in Venezuela
Who was
for the
dead?
machines. Who's dead? For the
Yeah.
machines.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
At some point, we got to be like, you know what? No. Girl, go play in traffic. We're not doing this. We're not
Yeah.
doing this. And if if you care about your rights, how do we just sit here and let them be eroded?
Yeah. Well,
That's the
like Keisha
frustration.
said, they all are forever brainwashed, and this country is changed forever over a reality star.
Who child? Well, then if that's the case, then Omarosa, Miss New York, Flavor Flav, all of these people seemingly are just as qualified, which is unfortunate.
How about that?
Kim Kardashian.
Well, if you ever watch the movie Idiocracy, it's on point. So, let's go to this next topic. Who we got up next? Still no speaker. Still no speaker. So we have three branches of government. Three. This is do a little civics lesson right now. We have three branches of government. We have an executive branch. God, why you putting food in your mouth?
Because I'm listening. I'm listening.
We have an executive branch. That's where the president sits. The president sits at that executive branch, and he has an executive level cabinet. We have a judicial branch, which is our courts and the Supreme Courts, our federal courts, our state, all of the court systems are in that judicial branch.
Yes.
Then we have a legislative branch. And our legislative branch is made up of two governing bodies that are supposed to write legislation. You have a House of Representatives, and you have a Senate.
Yes.
Okay.
How do you get your representative?
The House of Representative is based on your population, and they draw districts, and that's why they do the census every 10 years. And y'all asses who don't want to fill out the census form, or you have your state gerrymandering the districts because y'all ain't active in doing the census and doing what you supposed to do on that end, and they taking your representatives away. Yes. Alabama being sued about that right now, and it's being redrawn. So let's see how that's gonna go.
Well, Louisiana is supposed to get another district, and Jeff, y'all knew supposed to be governor, is fighting. So go ahead.
But yes, so again, they trying to take away y'all rights any way they want because the population and the demographics changing, honey, and they just want to take away it any way they possibly can. Nonetheless,
and then
that's based on population.
Yes.
Now the Senate is just based on we got 50 states, and each state gets 2 senators. So that's all. That's all you got. It's 100. Now, me personally, that's it. That's all. Me personally, I don't think that because North Dakota and South Dakota got the same amount of people in terms of population as the city of Los Angeles, I kind of don't think they need 2 senators, but that's just my feeling about that. Okay, that's how I feel about that. Okay, and we got Washington D.C., millions of people who live in the District of Columbia who have 0 representation.
Correct.
I got a problem with that. Okay. But that's the basic civics lessons. And the Speaker of the House, because y'all talking about how old Joe Biden is, the Speaker of the House, and Joe done just carried his behind. He done been over to Israel. He done been over to China. He done been all over these places. He went landed in Ukraine. They got wars. He landed in war zones. The Speaker of the House is third in line of succession to the presidency if something happened to the president, because it goes president, vice president, Speaker of the House. We, as of today, no October 22nd, have no Speaker of the House because the last Speaker of the House wanted to be Speaker so bad, Kevin McCarthy, that he sold his soul throughout all, rewrote all the rules to allow that one person could bring up the vote to take the Speaker out of his position.
Mm,
And they did.
look at that. Won't he do it?
Whoa! We talked about in Sunday school this morning. Be careful what you ask for. God just might give it to you. Okay? So you say, okay, I'm gonna let you have that. Do that. Let's see what you do with it. Because I done told you what to do. So he acquiesced on
I
all of
mean,
these rules and order, all of the normal operating procedures. He
and
acquiesced and changed all the rules so he could just, after 15 votes, it
that's
still
all I
took
wanted to get to 15 votes. It took
to
us
get to that.
15 votes. So,
And he was in a
like,
position for how many months?
let's think about it though. Before we say that, 15 votes. So, can you imagine what was agreed to behind closed doors? Can you imagine? And in 50, let me see how long this man was Speaker of the House. How long was Kevin McCarthy?
So now let's talk about these last couple weeks. Kevin is ousted. Boom. The second in charge, Steve Scalise, that said, I'm going to throw my name in the hat. Jim Jordan, the child molester protector. That's what I'm still calling him, from Ohio. 9 months. He was in there 9 months. Thank you, Keisha, for dropping
January
that
to
in there.
October, it says.
Yeah, 9 months.
Mhm.
They decide, okay, here we go. We're going to run. Now, Steve Scalise, representative from the state of Louisiana, who is going through cancer treatment
And was shot a few years ago.
and was shot a few years ago. He threw his name in the hat. He like, I'm already second in line. I'm in the leadership structure. I'm going to go ahead and throw my name in the hat. After realizing he didn't have enough votes, he was like, I'm pulling my name out because he didn't even like take his name to the floor. Jim Jordan, the one who is bud with Trump, who is doing, again, all of these sham investigations. I can't remember what committee he's over. Here he goes. He gonna run 3 votes, and he don't have enough votes. And so I'm just wondering, because in September is when they did a continuing resolution. Because what people don't understand is that the federal budget runs October 1st to September 30th. That's kind of how the federal budget cycle runs. So they get all their fresh money October.
Mhm.
They did a continuing resolution because the budget was going to run out on October 1st, right? To fund the government. And when we say fund the government, what does fund the government mean? Fund the government means like TSA, Social Security Administration, Veterans Affairs, military, all those people who work in all those things, they get paid through your federal tax dollars.
Back in the day, your parents used to say, and grandparents used to call it a good government job.
They used to say it was a good government job.
Not no more.
So those people, those jobs, some of those people still have to work, and they would have to work without pay until then the government is refunded. So anyway, so they did a continuing resolution to keep enough funding in place till November
November.
30th.
Mm-hmm.
They gave themselves 2 months. But now we don't have a speaker. And now it's October 22nd, and we still don't have a speaker.
But if it makes you feel better, there's 8 more Republicans who are throwing their name in the hat.
It don't make me feel better.
It doesn't make me feel better either. I obviously am being sarcastic, but Actually, it's pretty sad. I don't understand what Matt Gates's end game was by um
He didn't have an
out.
end game. He doesn't have an end game. It's all personal. And once again, here we are with the lives of people being affected because of your personal grievance and something, your personal shortcomings and failings as a human being on display. Yeah, that
Yeah,
part.
well, it's unfortunate that I don't know what his constituents. He's from the great state of Florida. Florida
Right
and
there in the Florida
Louisiana like
panhandle, honey.
running
They
neck
seem to
and
they
neck. Florida, Louisiana, Ohio, they running neck and neck with a lot of stuff. But yeah, so there he I don't know what his constituents feel about his decision to do that. But then he stands up there, he basically is responsible for Kevin McCarthy being ousted. And listen, my heart doesn't bleed for Kevin McCarthy, bad go, whatever. But then Jim Jordan doesn't get the votes after 3 times, and then you make a snarky comment as if it's like it's so problematic that Jim Jordan didn't get the votes when I feel like you didn't vote for him all 3 times. So and so now we have 8 folks coming up. The third guy in charge, the brother from Florida, who I'm like, brother, if Tim Scott ain't making no headway on the presidential uh platform on, and he's been a
Byron.
Byron, yes, he's been a
Byron.
Tim Scott has been a senator for
Sit
years,
down, Byron.
and he's not making any headway.
Sit
What
down.
do you think you're gonna do? And you've only been in Congress for a few years, but all right, it's a whole
And
lot
a
of
whole bunch of them are up for re-election in 2024. Because remember, the House of Representatives, you vote on them every 2 years.
right.
So a whole bunch of them is up for re-election in 2024, baby. So let me tell you, y'all have an opportunity to vote them out. Yes, we know he running for governor. He is beginning his campaign. I think it's 2026 though, right? Because when did we just reelect this Yahoo? 2022 for 2026. Yeah. Child. And yes, Jim, who hasn't put a bill on the floor in 16 years. So let's talk about bills, bills, bills. This year, the House of Representatives have passed 18 bills. We got a link in there. We'll drop that link in there. 18 bills. And let me tell y'all something. As we talked about the government shutdown and government funding, but see,
They
when they
have to
write
get
the
paid.
law, they don't write that they don't get paid.
Right.
They get paid, but your privates and your military officers and they don't get paid. Or the people who work at the Veterans Administration who are providing care for your veterans, they don't get paid. But that congressman who hasn't passed a bill, haven't even put forth the bill, who is not serious about legislating. Remember, I said we got 3 branches. We got an executive branch, a judicial branch, and a legislative branch. These people who are not serious about legislating, and we keep electing them. And I'm gonna say
Mhm.
we the people, because that's the beginning. Now that I remember that I learned that probably in the 2nd grade. We the people. Why do we the people keep electing this foolishness and wondering why everything is falling down and crumbling down around us? Because we the people accept this foolishness. Because we the people continue, because they've been in office year after year after year after year. Because like I said, they run every 2 years. So if you in the House of Representative and you've been in that 20 years, you've been running every day.
You don't stop, huh?
You don't stop. But
Yeah.
why do we allow that to why do we allow that? So y'all just go take a look at, and then I want you, because the article we just dropped. I gotta look it. I gotta look it up because I gotta tell y'all some of the things that they have passed so that you can be mad. Because if you was me, I feel like I feel you be mad at some of this BS that they done pass. Because again, it has to then go to the Senate, and the Senate also has to pass it, and then that's how things become law. Because y'all know that from Schoolhouse Rock. Y'all should have remembered how I'm a bill works. Okay. Oh, they designated a Veterans Affair in a clinic in New Mexico. Okay, yeah, that's great. But then if we don't pay them, who gonna work there?
Yeah.
Let's see. Another bill to authorize facility projects at Department of Veteran Affairs for fiscal year. So that's like the, you know, building maintenance and stuff. Okay, but then if the budget isn't passed, then those projects not gonna get done. So you passing that bill, but the project's still not gonna get done because you ain't passed the budget. That bill ain't passed. Let's
Hmm.
see. Uh, wait, what's this other one? Oh, to require the Secretary of the Treasury to mint coins in commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the United States Marine Corps and to support programs at the Marine Corps Heritage Center. But then if the budget don't get passed, who gonna be minting these coins? Because actually people do these jobs. Like, do you understand how stupid this is?
Yeah, I was looking up the um when Young, excuse me, Shalonda Young, who is, and I think we may have shared it before. Um, oh my goodness, this is moving so slow. The OMB director, um, Office of Management and Budget, how she talked about when Kevin McCarthy said in September that he won't take a salary. And she just said, I'm glad that the speaker made that statement. By the way, members of Congress have to get paid constitutionally. So maybe he'll put it in a sock drawer. I don't know, but they have to get paid during a shutdown. And then she said, that's theater. I will tell you, the guy that picks up the trash in my office won't get a paycheck. That's real. And that's what makes me angry. And I really appreciated her stepping up and speaking out in that way, because to me, sometimes that's what puts it in the proper perspective. Like somebody saying because they are a congressman saying that he won't take a
Or
paycheck.
the president. Remember, he didn't take a salary either. The last
Right.
one, 45.
And if you don't know better, and if you're
It
just,
sounds good.
it sounds good. It sounds great. It sounds like, oh wow, this person, they care because they're not going to take a paycheck. But then when you hear someone say, but constitutionally they have to get a paycheck, which also probably implies that constitutionally their health care is still being paid. And sometimes,
Mean,
when you all think about it, when we think about our own personal lives, if our health care is completely covered when we're working, when we're in the workplace, if our health care is completely covered, that's a whole new ball game for your household finances than if your company doesn't cover your health care costs. And
absolutely.
yeah, you get a salary or whatever, and it might be a good salary, but when they cover your health care costs, that's a whole new ball game. So thinking that here these people have complete coverage of their health care and they have very good health care and they're getting their salaries, but to have someone say like, oh, I'm not going to take a paycheck, yeah, it sounds good, but it's very it's deceitful. And
Mhm.
it's like she said, it's theater. And so when we have these conversations about what does it really mean for the government to shut down, you know there are people who are behind this. Like if again, we talked about this. If you're going through TSA, there are people, and listen, I don't know about y'all, but I know Miss Jody has a lot of, she and I have similar travel kind of uh specifications and feelings and whatever. When you're going through TSA and folks have a bad day anyway, just imagine if you had to go to work and you ain't getting a paycheck. And yes, I know they make it up. I get it.
Mhm.
But everybody's not in the position to wait.
But
And
the stress of that.
the stress of it, yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, we got to really call some people to the carpet. But anyway.
Well, speaking of that, I wanted to before we dive in, dive all the way into to the next topic. There's a comment here about Republicans. If five Republicans, if five Republicans, if five Republicans say that we're going to choose country over party, and we know that we need a speaker of the house in place to put some order back in place, and so that we can get work done. If five of them would vote for Hakeem Jeffries, he would be the next speaker of the house. That would be a game changer. But we have become so polarized, and we talked about it all falling down. We've become so polarized that people are willing to only think about their own self-interest or their own party politics above the entire nation. So there's no civic pride, no national pride, no nothing. And it's really, it's sad and it's depressing.
Well, I think what this tells us is not even about it's not even about party politics, right? Because right now what we see, the reason that we don't have a speaker of the house is because the Republicans are not even selecting people within their own party. There are factions within that party. And that's not to suggest a few years ago, they were talking about the two left Democrats versus the centrist Democrats. So that is not new. But yes, if five Republicans would do that, just back Hakeem Jeffries, we would have a speaker of the house, and we might be able to get some things done. But at the end of the day, that's never going to happen because it would be political suicide. And right now we live in a country that really people do not care about compromise. They only care about the things that matter to them. And again, this goes to when I'm at home or even here, but listening to these different um political commercials during the campaigns, and you hear folks talking about, well, my kid was killed and this person helped me, so that's why they get my vote. But
Mm-hmm.
they might have done 20 other things to the detriment of somebody else's kid,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't matter because you're only thinking about the fact that that person stood in the gap for you when you had a situation, but you're not thinking about how that they've been detrimental to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So those five Republicans did that, yes, but it would be political suicide. They wouldn't get reelected because, again, let's face it, Kevin McCarthy isn't the Speaker of the House right now because he actually compromised.
I don't think
And that,
he's not Speaker of the House because he actually he's not, no, he's not Speaker of the House because he actually did compromise. He's not Speaker of the House because, see, this is what I know to be true and I believe to be true, that if five people stood up and stood on something, stood on a true belief, a true foundation, if you stood on something, then you would most definitely, because you can say to people with 10 toes down, I did this because of this. And I will no longer allow us to get nothing done, make no progress, and not move this country forward.
but
If,
people
if
don't care about that. Like
but
there's too many.
when you stand, I'm telling you, when you stand 10 toes down and you able to look people in the face and tell them the truth, it's happened too many times. People are like, oh, okay.
Well,
Because
I'm
they're
gonna
gonna
say
vote for him
this.
with the R by their name anyway.
Well, I'm gonna say this. Number
Kevin
one,
McCarthy didn't stand for anything, and
he
that's why he
didn't. He
fell for
didn't.
everything.
He
And that's
didn't.
why it ended up the way that it ended up. And people knew that about him beforehand. They knew that he'd been trying to do this, get this job and do this forever, but he was an empty person. They people, that was always the rap on him, is that he would do anything because it was about popularity for them. He didn't stand for anything.
So
People
again,
who stand for something,
he didn't. I'm not disagreeing with
oh, I'm
anything
sorry.
that you. I'm not
Ooh,
disagreeing with
child.
anything that you're saying. But what I am saying is, The justification for moving him out of the speakership was he compromised with the Democrats for this on the budget. That was the justification. And if we're in a place in this country where compromise makes you a bad person, you're right. He ain't stood for much. Is not necessarily a person of integrity. It took him 15 votes. Like I said, we don't know what he agreed to behind closed doors. But if all it took was him saying, yeah, we need to get a budget passed so people can get paychecks. And that was enough for folks to say, oh, yeah, we need to oust him. I mean, they were waiting. Obviously, Matt Gaetz was sitting in wait. And so he had his opportunity, and that's what he landed on. And people were like, that's okay. I'm willing to oust him because he compromised. Well, then that doesn't give me a lot of faith that somebody's standing 10 toes down on their word and saying I did this because it made sense. It doesn't give me faith that they're going to support that person because I mean, look at Liz Cheney. She is not the poster child for doing the right things, but she did the right thing one time, and it was like, you got to go. So that's my sentiment. I don't think it's not gonna happen. So yeah, it would be great if they did. Ain't gonna happen. We're not in that place in society.
Well, we have
So
fallen down further than honey. Ooh, have we fallen and can't get back up? That's what I'm wondering. Have we fallen and can't get back up?
it's a very good question. I mean,
Ooh.
we're not gonna get back up as long as people are solely looking at what benefits me. We're not gonna get back up.
Child. Ooh. Child. Okay. I don't know which one of these next topics. Well,
Girl, this one little piece, Gary, is just killing me. Sorry, continue.
so
Goodness.
we were talking earlier about kind of the things that I happen to be driving home, and normally I listen to talk radio, I listen to NPR, I listen to Urban View, I listen to any manner of news programs and things of that nature, things that educational. I am a PBS junkie, all of those types of things. And but today, as I was driving back home, I decided to put on like the Hot 100 or the hot songs, and this song has been out over a year. It's been out a while.
Mhm.
This song by SZA.
But honestly, I never heard it. Well, I don't know if I've ever heard it.
So this song by SZA called "Kill Bill" was on, and I was listening to the lyrics, and I was like, "This is the damn problem. This is one of the problems. Talk about it all. That boy from Chicago, he shall not be named. I ain't even gonna call his name. That boy from Chicago."
I told you Selena Johnson is singing. Let's just say Selena. We don't have to
Selena
talk
was
about him.
singing in that song. It all falls down. Honey, it all falls down. So I was listening to these lyrics, and I wanted us to put this up here because, we wonder about the things that we consume and the things that we hear, and we wonder about like the posture in which, we see a lot of the um inability to self-regulate, the inability to manage um
Anger and
anger
self.
and menial conflicts, and so I listened to these lyrics, and so here are the lyrics of the song "Kill Bill." Now, if y'all had heard the song "Kill Bill," let me know. Drop it in the comments, because some people was like, "Oh, it was a banger. They loved it."
They
It
loved
actually,
it.
I think it might have won an award or
I'm
two.
trying to see.
Um, But this line right here, I might kill my ex. Not the best idea. His new girlfriend's next. How did I get here? I might kill my ex. I still love him though. Rather be in jail than alone. Now, in my generation, Lord Jesus, I ain't going to jail for nobody. Then there's another. If you can we scroll down, production assistant, so we can see that last one when she says, rather be in hell than be alone. She said, I just killed my ex, not the best, killed his girlfriend next. How did I? So I just killed my ex. I still love him though. I do rather be in jail than alone. If people are listening to this and consuming this on a regular basis, because then it got me thinking about some of the other songs that are out there that are very popular and what is being said. Now, I'm talking about we got a problem. We got a problem. We have a
Mhm.
problem, sister. If this is what we're consuming.
So, what I am reading here, excuse me for coughing directly into the microphone.
Mhm.
What I am reading here is that on March 1st, 2023, at the YouTube Theater in Los Angeles, SZA was awarded a Woman of the Year by Billboard. And her songs SOS and Kill Bill are certified platinum at the RIAA.
So
So
platinum means it
perhaps
has a million what? Sold spins. What is that? Because
certified platinum. I mean, because
I
it's
don't know how
different
they do
now
it
that
now.
it's
Yeah.
we're in this platinum. Let's see. Oh, okay. I don't even know if I need to trust a Wikipedia or not. But anyway, here is what it says on the RIAA. Um, okay, they got a lot of information here. Just give me to the what does it mean in this day and age? Oh, here we go. Platinum, it just says minimum units 1 million. So at this point, I don't know what units are, but units. Okay, I've said enough. Units. It's
Mhm.
certified platinum. So at least a million units. So maybe streaming, if it's all on streaming, maybe it's a combination of streaming and maybe if people they still do sell records. I think they still
Mhm.
sell CDs too. Anyway,
Mhm.
the point is I heard I heard the name of the song before and it already sounded like something I didn't need to listen to.
Mhm.
But those are some very disturbing lyrics, and it just so happened that, and our PA, thank you so much for being on top of it. Dropped this in the chat. I just saw this on one Mr. Quentin Latham, also known as Funky Dineva's Instagram page by Francis Cress Welsing, the author of the ISIS Papers. We're the only people on this entire planet who have been taught to sing and praise our demeanment. I'm a bee, bitch. I'm a hoe. I'm a gangster. I'm a thug. I'm a dog. If you can train people to demean and degrade themselves, you can oppress them forever. You can program them to kill themselves and they won't even understand what happened. And I feel like this song is a part of we always talk about whether or not, because listen, again, we often say, look, we listen to songs that in hindsight we listen to them now and we're like, whew, that was rough. But at the same time, you know, understanding her audience, understanding this fragile place where we're at.
And
Um,
someone who like with her and even Megan the Stallion and even Summer Walker, these and what's my other girl name? Jasmine Sullivan. So these are all young women who are in their 20s and early 30s, and they have all talked about their mental health issues and their mental health fragility.
right,
And this is the output. So this is kind of how they're putting stuff out, but then they're feeding that into someone else.
correct. And at the end of the day, the question is again about self-destruction. Because the reason why we wanted to add this to the all it all falls down conversation, because it just starts to feel like when are we going to say enough is enough? I mean, at least that's how I look at it. Enough is enough. Enough is enough with these sort of lyrics, whether it's SZA or even some, obviously, some of the rap lyrics that we hear today. I get it. We all grow, we mature, we get to places that are different in our lives. And, yes, we all listen to our share of, like I said, music that will clutch your pearls. But at some point, you have to know, like, anything you consume, whether it's literal food, or it's the images that you see on television, or the things you listen to on the radio, at some point you have to understand that, as the old adage goes, you are what you eat. You are what you consume. The cluttered space is a cluttered mind, things of that nature. So it just begs the question, when do we say enough is enough? Because for me, you and I were having a conversation earlier, which I was like, this could have just been Hey Sister earlier this morning, where I was just like, I see so much foolishness on the Instagram at this point. And I know it's not called the Instagram, but I love saying the Facebook, the Instagram, all of that. But I'm seeing so much foolishness that I'm just at the point of, I do need a detox. And I know you and I had a conversation about the detox and detach. Does it make sense? I mean, obviously, we're in this platform. We have social media accounts for this platform, but it begs to question, even with this, doing the research for this, like, how much can you take in before you're like, enough is enough? That's kind of why we wanted to say about it all falls down. But Demetria, go ahead. You may have a different perspective.
I no, I don't. I think that we have to start being more discerning, because this is why. So going back to the top of the show, and so we're almost near the end, but going back up to the top of the show, we talked about it all falls down, and we were talking about the lies perpetuated about the 2020 election and the people who are now pleading guilty. See, it's quiet about them pleading guilty, but the lies have already been magnified and spread, and it's like the tumor has metastasized.
Mm-hmm.
And it's same thing with like these lyrics we're consuming. We are seeing a rise in violence,
Right.
relationship violence,
Yes.
people not exercising emotional control and self-regulation in these situations. And we're seeing where everybody has access to a gun, which makes everybody a target.
Mm-hmm.
So metastasize, and accelerating the metastasization of it, right? We're about to go into another election cycle now that we have AI on top of it, generating even more, because they already know about the social media element with the fake accounts and deep fakes and the bots, and the more of it that it's generating and creating, it's like, have we fallen and we will not get back up because of it? Are people not going to be able to have a simple disagreement? Like, to me, at 20 something years old, breaking up with a boyfriend, it's just kind of like that was normal course of your maturing and growing. But to then, I never, there's nobody I ever was in a relationship with that I said I wanted to kill.
And according to this, SZA is 33 years old.
So again, like I said, they're in their
And
20s and 30s. They're
well, and no,
young.
I wanted to make that a distinction, because you said in your 20s that was a part of your, in your 30s, you definitely like, girl, I wish I would go to jail behind him. I mean, like, let's think about who you was dating.
I was married already, so I got my
You were already
yeah.
married. For the rest of us who weren't, it's like, not only am I not going, I'm not going to jail, but girl, you done jumped all the way to hell. Baby, you
I
alive?
sure ain't going to.
It's 100 degrees out here right now. And it's all of October 22nd. Girl, baby, no. Mm-mm. So that's crazy. And that's unfortunate because, to your point, we have seen this degradation happening over the years, over the years, over the years. And the sad and unfortunate piece is, obviously, because we live in this capitalistic society, we have folks who have figured out they can sell us pretty much anything as long as it got a nice beat to it. And we will consume it, and then begin to act on it. And so I guess that is the difference. When we were younger and listening to some of the foolery that we listened to, we still were able to separate fiction from reality to a
Hmm.
degree. Now it's so convoluted because you sit and watch reality shows that are completely produced. You sit and watch, you sit on social media, and you see all these smiling faces, everybody happy, everybody in love, and then two days later, folks is divorcing, or you know
Committing suicide.
committing suicide or things like that. And you thought, wait, I thought this person was happy. I thought all things was good. So yes, in that short span, you recognize that the over the course of a generation, the ability to decipher fake fact from fiction, or fake from reality, has deteriorated to the point that, yes, if you say some stuff like this in your lyrics, sis, that is utterly irresponsible. And I know we late and whatever, it's been out there in the zeitgeist, but that's a part of the problem. Like you said, these ladies have talked about their mental fragility. So why would you purchase? I know, it's art, and I don't know it's creative, and I know it's a part of your, maybe your
Catharsis.
catharsis. But saying you gonna kill somebody and kill a girlfriend who had nothing to do with it, and say you're willing to go to hell or jail, then be alone, it's just problematic on a very deep level.
Yeah. And I mean, yes, we're late to that those lyrics specifically, but and I'm not picking on her as an artist or anything. I had heard it before. Till say she had never heard this song or seen the lyrics, but I know a lot of people loved the song when it came out again. So we know that again, it was out in the zeitgeist. I just paid attention to it today.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot of things that we consume that we're not paying attention to, but they are getting into our heads. They're getting into our ears. They're getting into our
And
consciousness
even worse, they're getting into the heads, the ears, and the consciousness of somebody else who is less equipped.
and doesn't have a fully formed prefrontal cortex.
Yes. And therefore, you may become the victim of their bad behavior.
Behavior. Yes. And they're making life altering decisions and choices as a result. And so it continues to fall down. So from politics, religion, economy, music. We didn't even get into some of the other topics that we had today, because we had a few others that kind of go into this kind of like falling down in society. There's a lot that's happening out there. What my hope is, and then I'm gonna toss it to you, sister, for your hope, for the people and for all of us, is that we can pause and that we do some self reflection, that we do some introspection, that we're able to engage in conversations with people who don't look like us, who don't think like us, and really start being able to have healthy dialogue that challenges all of us to pause so that we can start thinking a little more deeply about all of these things, to see the interconnectivity so that we can then start to lift each other back up. Because I do believe, you know, as things fall down and fall apart around the world, there is still opportunity for us to get back up and to lift one another up and to support one another and to spread uh more love and share more light, because that's the only way that we will be able to lift and rise is through love and light. So that's my wish for everybody. What about you?
All right. Well, that was a great wish. My wish is very similar. I just hope that we can start to see the humanity in others, and I hope we can start seeing the God in others. At the end of the day, um, when I think about my life and the journey that I've been on now for 46 years, and how I have no idea how many more years I'll have. It's like I just kind of want to be free. I just want to be free. I don't want to bother you. I don't want you to
I
bother
just
me.
have to be free.
Yeah, I
Come on,
just
let's
I
sing it.
just wanna no, I'm
Oh,
talking because you didn't talk for 30 minutes and now you wanna sing. I, at the end of the day, yes, I want to be free. I want to be happy. I want to experience joy. I want to travel. I want to do all those things. And I just don't understand why we can't want that for other people. Like,
mhm,
why can't we just, in the words of Rodney King, why can't we just all get along, child?
mhm. Well, with that being said, we want to thank you for tuning in tonight to this tonight's episode of Hey Sister, It All Falls Down. We hope that we found something that we can lift each other up about and keep each other lifted. So please like, follow, share, subscribe. Tell someone to join this conversation, listen in, and then tune in next week as we bring you another episode of Hey Sister. Good night, everybody.
Good night.